Okay guys, I want to say the two biggest problems I think with Periscope right now. I think for those who follow certain people, I think when you first get on, the novelty of it all, you're like, oh, thank you blank for, joining. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. And you see them do that and they have them say your name the first time. You feel like you're connected to them and everything. That's cool. But once you've watched the people a few times, to sit there for the first 7 minutes and say, hey, thanks, whatever, for joining, thanks. You get about 6 or 7 minutes into the broadcast before really anything is said. And it's just not a really efficient use of time. A lot of them have great headlines. They got 3 tips for you, and you're like, the reason you jump into it is because they got 3 tips, and you want the 3 tips quick. And they're sitting there for 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes talking about hearts and everything else. I think that novelty is going to have to go away at some point. I don't think that's going to be able to last. The other number 2 problem that I find right now with Periscope is, depending on your phone carrier, is the data is just way too much money right now. And I think it's going to still come down just like bandwidth did 10, 15 years ago in hosting. But I mean, you can drop $200 a month for a phone bill just because of all this data that it uses up. So I think the CEO one time said, if you're just doing a still shot just like that where it's not moving very much, it doesn't take up very much data. But if you're moving around constantly like this, then it does take up a lot of data. So that's something to keep in mind. It makes me wonder if I just show you a picture of my face the whole time versus this, it might actually take up less data. I don't know, I haven't tested it yet. So that's something to keep in mind as well. I think the data prices are going to come down over time. It's just another reason to connect to other people's Wi-Fi for the free Wi-Fi. And I've been trying to do that, but sometimes you just want to do this while you're walking and stuff. So something to keep in mind is the data. So those are the 2 big things. Oh, the other thing I was going to say too is when I'm out on the run, and most of us now have these smartphones in our pocket, and somebody I want to watch has a 10 or 20 or 60-minute video, it's tough for me to watch a 30 to 60-minute video and justify it, because it's like I'm doing like a gig a day right now, which is just way over the limit. And so, I mean, I really want to just, even more than ever, not even just my time, but for my money on the data, I just want some information in 3 to 5 minutes. They can do another one in a couple hours, that's fine. Even in another half an hour. They do kind of need to get to the point, because the data is kind of getting expensive these days. And I do think it's going to come down, so I don't think it's going to be a big deal. I've been around the internet for about 20 years, and I can remember the hosting back in the day. And I'm totally guessing that the bandwidth is 1,000 times or 10,000 times cheaper than it was like 15, 20 years ago. So for those who haven't been around the internet for 15, 20 years, I'm just letting you know, just like the hosting, this data plans, there'll be so much competition that eventually it'll be unlimited. It'll be true unlimited. Or actually what will happen even before that is we're already getting to the